Welcome everybody to another Voice of Nick show. This is probably a boring episode for just about anybody who would watch. So it's a good way to start a show. I'm going to be watching tutorial videos like live on the show. So that these are all from YouTube channels that are publicly accessible. So if you like the way that the video I'm watching teaches, and you want to find it for yourself, then check out the channel. I'll always try to call out the channel that I'm watching in that case, and I might be following along with a couple of these too. No real objective with this. I'm just interested to learn about coding stuff, and I figured GameMaker is a good intro for that. And yeah, so let's watch some videos, I guess. This one is from Let's Learn This Together, who did, I'm in the middle of like a tutorial playlist. I know pretty much zero about any kind of coding at all. I've watched a few things at this point. I've really done nothing, practically speaking. So we're at the zero mark at the moment. So having said that, we will watch some videos.
Evaluate. Case it says repeat 5, so you give it a number and it says, have I repeated this 5 times? If not, continue doing it. If I have, then exit. And if it has not, it'll continue to run this code, which is the statement, and if it has, then it will just be done. It also has a while loop. Now this loop is very dangerous because it's possible to put an expression in here that will never evaluate to false. Now, if this happens, it will go into an infinite loop. It will go into something that says this is going to go on forever, and GameMaker is going to realize it, and it's going to throw a system error, and your game will crash. So a while loop is very powerful, but you have to set it up inside of the statement, whether it continues or stops. And that can be difficult because sometimes it can create an infinite loop if you don't know exactly what you're doing. And then we move on to the do until, or as I know it, the do while loop. Very similar to the while, except that it will guarantee to run at least once. If you look at while loop, it checks the expression first. So it says, if this is true, then no longer do. So it checks the expression first, and if this is true,
you forgot to cut
it'll
out
go,
the
but if it is false, it won't, and then it won't actually run any of the code at all. A do while loop, or do until, is a way to guarantee that this will happen first, and then it will check to see if it's still true or false. And the last kind that I use most is a for loop. Now, it is the most complicated to look at because it has 3 statements and an expression. And when you're just starting out looking at loops, this one is confusing. But it is also the most powerful because it allows you to create a variable in it, which you can see here, and then check it against an expression, change that variable, and then do this statement, this chunk of text. So it's really awesome, and that's what I want to show you this time. But those are the for loops that GameMaker provides. And when you just begin with loops, just like I did, it might be kind of confusing as to why they are useful. When I first heard of them, all I could think of was, why would I want to do the same thing over and over 100 times? But that's the wrong question, because it's more like, what can I accomplish by doing almost the same thing 100 times in a row? Because the key is that inside of a loop, a little thing changes each and every time it runs. So let me go ahead and show you this. First, we're going to create an object. We're going to say obj.
Okay, so let's move this to the other screen. And loop.
Loop. We're going to add an event with create. And now what I want to do is first show you the for loop in a very simple thing. So first we're going to type out for, we're going to do I equals 0, and we need to do semicolon in there to distinguish between the expressions and statements. We're going to say I is less than 5. So as long as that is evaluating to true, the for loop will continue. And we're going to increment I by 1 with the plus plus. Now inside of here, I'm just going to use the show message function. I'm going to say hello. We're going to go into our room. We're going to take out functions, and we're going to throw in this loop, and I'm going to run it. Now,
actually, I could leave those in because I think I turned them all into a comment. Okay, so it's like continuously playing, I guess.
Now, this message will come up 5 different times because it's going to go through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we get that message 5 times, and then the game starts. Now that in and of itself does not appear very useful. But let me show you something that can be useful. If we created a number up here, if we are accessing a variable outside of this loop, let's say number equals 0, and then let's say we're going to show this message of number, but every time we're inside of here, we're actually going to say number plus equals 2. So this number is going to change every
Okay. Oh, so it's going to change what the actual thing that it says is, not the amount of times that it shows up.
single time this loop gets run. So the first time is 0, second time is 2, 4, 6, 8. So inside of this chunk of code, you can alternate things. Things can change and begin to be useful beyond just showing the exact same message over and over again. Because doing the exact same thing over and over may not be very useful. There are a couple of cases where it might be, but most of the time you will find that you need to change the code inside of here, change the variable you're working with to then do something extremely useful. So some of the examples that I use in my gaming is I can actually use a for loop to pause the game, and I'll show you that here. So inside of the game I'm working on, I can use a variable called instance count that GameMaker has that has all of the active instances running on the level. And then
Take a look. That's not it. Is that it? Instance count. Let's see what it says. Okay, that seems logical enough.
Then if I use a for loop, I can get all of those into one of my variables. Then I can pause the game and redraw everything so it looks like nothing has changed, and yet the game is completely paused, and I can show like a start screen or a menu or something else inside. Then I can the active instance I'm working on, I can use a variable called instance count that GameMaker has that has all of the active instances running on the level. And then if I use a for loop, I can get all of those into one of my variables. Then I can pause the game and redraw everything so it looks like nothing has changed, and yet the game is completely paused, and I can show like a start screen or a menu or something else inside of the game. Using a for loop, I can access every single active instance and do something with their code. If you were to do that by hand, well, for one, it might almost be impossible, but for sure it would be tedious if you had to type out every single instance in the level, because as games get larger, more and more instances are in the level. Now, another thing you can do is assigning experience after a battle. If you fight a battle, say in a turn-based combat, then you want to give every single character in your party experience. Well, you can use a loop for that. So you just type out the code once. You say, player 1 receives this much experience and this item. And then inside of a for loop, you can actually say, change it to then give it to player 2, and they get this much experience, and player 3 gets that, and player 4 gets that, so that you don't have to type out every single line of code for all 4 players, every single instance in the level, because as games get larger, more and more instances are in the level. Now, another thing you can do is assigning experience after a battle. If you fight a battle, say in a turn-based combat, then you want to give every single character in your party experience. Well, you can use a loop for that. So you just type out the code once. You say, player 1 receives this much experience and this item. And then inside of a for loop, you can actually say, change it to then give it to player 2, and they get this much experience, and player 3 gets that, and player 4 gets that, so that you don't have to type out every single line of code for all 4 players, because that becomes big and tedious and annoying, and also prone to errors and typos. Loops are vital to game development. Once you begin doing more complex things, you will realize that there are so many things that you cannot do without a loop. Loops and arrays, like we've already talked about, also go hand in hand. They are together so very powerful for doing a number of things. And we'll get into that as I show some more examples later on down the road. That's all I've got for you today, though. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful. As always, have fun making great games, and I will talk to you later. Hey there. I've got a Patreon, if you didn't know. If you'd like to support...
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one production.
Greetings and welcome. My name is Aaron Craig with Beyond Us Games, and in this session of learning GameMaker language from scratch, we're going to be looking at scripts. Now, a script is basically a user-created function. And if you remember from functions, they are chunks of code that will do something, whether it be simple or complex, and then usually return a value for the user to do something with. Now, a script is that exact same thing, except it's created by you, the programmer. They are a resource over here, right underneath paths, and we can right-click and create a new script, and we can name it whatever we want. I'm going to call this one SCR Math. And what we're going to do here is add two numbers together. Now, a function usually takes...
All right, let's put this over here.
arguments, just like a script can. And the way you do that is by creating a variable. So we're going to say number 1 equals argument. Now there are up to 16 arguments you can have here. They start counting at 0 and go up to 15. So we're going to say argument 0 is equal to first number. And the argument 0 is what you are actually going to pass in when you call this script. So we're also going to say number 2 equals argument 1. And what we want to do here is add these two numbers together and return their value. This is a very simple function, very easy, and you could very easily do it within your own code. But what I'm showing you is that you can create your own functions, and they can be extremely complex and do very difficult things, but you get to make them yourself instead of relying on GameMaker to do them all for you. So what I'm going to do is create a new variable here called new number, and it's just going to be number 1 plus number 2 added together. And then we got to use this keyword called return, and we are going to return new number. So return says when this script is called, give this value back. And that is what most functions do, is they return a value, because that's what you then work with inside of your if statement or your loops. The value that you get back from your function is how you actually do things inside of your game. So we're going to make a new object over here. We're going to call this obj scripts. And I'm just going to add a create event inside of here. And all I'm going to do to call it is use it just like a function. I'm going to say scr math 5 and 6. Because we know that they need two arguments. And inside of here, if you middle click on this function, it'll actually open up another box tied directly to it, which is kind of cool. So that is how we call our script. Let's go into our room, place this in here, and then run it. This script is going to be run
Add undefined value at line 4. Expected 0. Line 4, new number equals number 1 plus number 2. Okay. Oh, maybe it needs the. Let's go back in this video. Nope, it's not that. Maybe it goes like this. Okay.
Relying on GameMaker to do the number 1 plus number 2 added together. And then
That would seem to be exactly what I'm doing.
then we got to use this keyword called return, and we are going to return new number.
Okay. Let's take everything out of this room, maybe. I don't think that's the problem, though. Line 4. Add an undefined value. Okay. I wonder why a lot of this stuff doesn't show up when you middle click it. An argument that hasn't been passed in will be undefined. Okay.
So return functions do is they return a value because that's what you then work with inside of your if statement or your loops. The value that you get back from your function is how you actually do things inside of your game. So we're going to make a new object over here. We're going to call those obj scripts. And I'm just going to add a create event inside of here. And all I'm going to do to call it is use it just like a function. I'm going to say scr math 5 and 6 because we know that they need 2 arguments. And inside of here, if you middle click on this function, it'll actually open up another box tied directly to it.
He has a this kind of thing. That shouldn't actually make any difference, though. Line 6. Interesting that I can't see anywhere that I'm
kind of cool. So
differing
that
from
is how
this
we call
thing.
our script. Let's go into our room, place this in here, and then run it. This script is going to be run, but nothing is actually going to look like it happened. Because remember, it is only returning a value, and as of right now, we are doing nothing with that value that's being returned.
Huh. Oh no, wait, we want script. Script functions and variables. Okay. Nope. Okay. Let's see this one, function space. Okay. What does that do? That does not seem to, oh, because that's the function. So what if I said, that only shows up with one thing. Okay. There's only one thing that shows up in there. Because it has to be one number. got plus expected. Okay. Is that what they're saying? Got at line 6. No. Let's try and do this
or comp
from
variable.
the start.
So we're going to say number. Now, a script is basically a user-created function. And if you remember from functions, they are chunks of code that will do something, whether it be simple or complex, and then usually return a value for the user to do something with. Now, a script is that exact same thing, except it's created by you, the programmer. They are a resource over here, right underneath paths, and we can right-click and create a new script, and we can name it whatever we want. I'm going to call this one SCR Math, and what we're going to do here is add two numbers together.
So this then creates a function called SCR Math. Well, let's try making it inside of this, although I don't think
Now,
you need to
a
do
function is created by you, and what we're going to do here is add two numbers together. Now, a function usually takes arguments, just like a script can. And the way you do that is by creating a variable. So we're going to say number 1 equals argument. Now, there are up to 16 arguments you can have here. They start counting at 0 and go up to 15. So we're going to say argument 0 is equal to first number.
one. I'm definitely not messing that part up unless it's not supposed to be inside of this.
And the argument 0 is what you are actually going to pass in when you call this script. So we're also going to say number 2 equals argument 1. And what we want to do here is add these two numbers together and return their value. This is a very simple function, very easy, and you could very easily do it within your own code. But what I'm showing you is that you can create your own functions, and they can be extremely complex and do very difficult things, but you get to make them yourself instead of relying on GameMaker to do them all for you. So what I'm going to do is create a new variable here called new number, and it's just going to be number 1 plus number 2 added together. And then we got to use this keyword called return, and we are going to return new number. So return says when this script is called, give this value back. And that is what most functions do, is they return a value, because that's what you then work with inside of your if statement or your loops. The value that you get back from your function is how you actually do things inside of your game. So we're going to make a new object over here. We're going to call those obj scripts. And I'm just going to add a create event inside of here. And all I'm going to do to call it is use it just like a function. I'm going to say scr math 5 and 6. Because we know that they need two arguments. And inside of here, if you middle click on this function, it'll actually open up another box type.
This doesn't show as... Hold on, let's take a look at what
SCR
this does.
math 5 and 6.
Doesn't seem to do anything.
5 and 6.
Okay, let's take a look. Expected 0 got 2. What happens if I don't put anything in? Okay, that now has 0 arguments in it, but it doesn't crash. What if I hard-coded the numbers. Oh, we'd have to show the thing, right? Does that work if you do that? It does not work. How would we see if we open the debugger? I don't know what's going on. Okay. How do you step it ahead here? Oh, here we go. There are no steps. That's the only step. Okay, that didn't work. What if we get rid of this again? Okay. Is it in the room? No, it's not in the room. That's why that doesn't show up. So if you said show message, it has to be a string. Do you do like this? I don't know if that is correct. It's not changing colors. Although it seems to, let's see what happens. Okay, it's showing a string that says what we put there. What if we just do that? 7. So the script works, but the idea of making these into arguments does not work. Why is that? Okay. SCR map. That's going to show an error message. Oh, apparently it's a problem with GameMaker 2.3. So this, what if we did this? Function, new number 1 plus number 2, only referenced once. So why does this not show? Okay. So it would be but these are not initialized variables, right? At this point. Mhm. Mhm. It seems like whatever this is does not work any longer in the new GameMaker. So what would work? Got semicolon expected. So you have to do this. Oh wait, this has to be argument 0 and 1. New number equals number 1 plus number 2. And then return the new number. Okay, so if we did that, that now wants two things. And we want to show the thing, so and do we just do it like this? Yeah, okay. That took way longer than it was supposed to, but it works. Okay. I suspect that we were sort of like working around some kind of problem that is caused by being in a new version. This video we're watching is from 2017, so I think they changed something about how GameMaker works.
Because we know that they need two arguments. And inside of here, if you middle click on this function, it'll actually open up another box tied directly to it, which is kind of cool. So that is how we call our script. Let's go into our room, place this in here, and then run it. This script is going to be run, but nothing is actually going to look like it happened. Because remember, it is only returning a value, and as of right now, we are doing nothing with that value that's being returned. If we caught that value in a variable like this, we now have that result of our script. And then we can come in here and we can show message of value, and then we're actually doing something with the result of those two numbers being added together. It is 11. And that is basically a script. Now, the reason you'd want to use them is that they allow you to take different chunks of code that you have, the same code, and put it into one logical place, being a script. If you are calling a section of code, if you're typing it out more than once or twice, you probably want to create a script, because it makes debugging so much easier. Because if you have a section of code that is spread all over your game and you mistype it once, or if you ever need to make a change to that, you have to go in and find it all over the place. So if you have a specific function that your game is doing that you have created yourself, you want to create a script. That script can then be in one place, can be called super easy, and can be changed and debugged without having to jump all over your game's code. So a script is really awesome. It is a user-created function and has a lot of power. Right here, we've made a very simple one just to show you how they're made and how they're called. The most important thing is to catch this value that is being returned. You could, if you wanted to, show a message inside of here. I would not recommend this, as you don't want your scripts to ever take control of your game. You want to be able to control what happens, like showing messages, inside of your code, not inside of a script, because you may be calling the script in different places, and if you forget that it has a show message somewhere, that it's going to pop up all over the place. My recommendation is to just use the script as a computational tool to combine multiple sections of code, put it into one place so that it is easier to debug and find later on. Scripts are extremely useful. I hope that you can see that and that you understand how to use them. If you have any more questions or would like to see more examples of scripts that maybe I use in my own games, then please leave a comment or hit me up on Twitter. I would be glad to show you more of that if you're interested. But that's all I've got for you today. So, as always, have fun making great games, and I will talk to you later. Hey there.
Aside from that inconvenient part, though, and also there's a lot of great content on this channel. Anybody who's interested in checking out this Patreon, once again, the channel is called Let's Learn This Together, so check it out.
When it comes to citing sources,
Somebody watching this as a YouTube video later might mistake it for me having created the video that I am now watching, because it looks like it's just playing while I'm sitting here, but it's not my video. I'm just watching the video. And once again, the channel is called Let's Learn This Together on YouTube.
With Beyond Us Games, and in this session of Learning GameMaker Language, I'm going to be talking to you about keywords. So this is going to be a short video, but an important one, because every programming language that you are going to come across has keywords, which are reserved words that language understands to mean a certain thing. And you can't use them for a variable name or anywhere else, because GameMaker here specifically, or other languages, know what they're supposed to mean and know what they're supposed to do. So understanding the keywords will both help you be able to use the language and the software better, but also not run into mistakes of trying to use them. So the first one we have here is self, and you can see it's deprecated, which just means that GameMaker recommends you do not use this anymore. There are better ways than saying self. If you're trying to access your specific object, then you might want to say object_index. That would get your object index for who's ever running it, or you could use ID, which would give you that object's ID if you wanted to get that. Here's another one of other. Now, this is most useful when you have two objects that are colliding. They have an example for here how to use it, but let me show you how I would.
What, is my internet not working?
Now, this is most. They have an example for here how to use it, but let me show you how I would use it. You'd want to do something like this. If you have an object that is colliding with another one, so let's say that you had a collision with another object, so this would have to be solid as well.
Okay.
but you are colliding with it. And let's say that this is actually a bullet, and this is a bullet that is moving quickly, and when it collides with an enemy, you want to destroy the bullet but apply damage and maybe push the player back or do a small explosion or something like that. You would go this with other, and using this keyword and this function with, you have now transferred into the other object that you are colliding with. So imagine that this is a bullet, so we can now access the other player's health. So we could be saying something like, health minus equal other dot my damage, because inside of this other statement, now we have to use this other keyword.
I don't know why I'm typing this part. It's just an example.
Damage. So it's a little confusing at first, but basically you can access another object, the other object that you are specifically colliding with, by using this other keyword. And you can use this in combination with, or you can just say other dot and access that variable. Now, you can also use the keyword all. This is most useful when you are using the code for collisions. So right here, I'll just copy and paste this to show you how it looks. So let me close out of that and make this a little bit larger. So if we had something like this, where we are checking the collision line, and we want to say if this collision line hits any object that is solid, then we want to get that object index back. We want to know
Collision line. I guess if you had like a laser gun, that would be useful. Like a beam. It shoots like a beam or something. I don't know. So this would basically be like, what's that game? A missile defense game. Is it called Missile Defense? Missile Command. Like you're choosing where you choose the origin point, the point where you're clicking, and you would check for stuff happening between those 2 points, I guess. Okay.
what object, which ID we are hitting here. And by using this keyword all in place of a specific object, you can do that. It'll hit every single object that is not deactivated inside of your game, and it'll know that you want every object instead of just something like just one other object. Because that's how most collisions work, is you are just looking for one other object. But if you do all, you get every single object that can be collided with. And the last keyword we're going to look at is no one. Now, when you do a function inside of GameMaker, like if you had a collision line here, and you are not hitting anything, you are walking around and there is nothing that your player is colliding with, GameMaker needs to return something. And that something that it is returning is this keyword no one. and the value of it is -4. So it's not incorrect. It's not like a bug that you are getting -4 necessarily. It may not always be what you want, but GameMaker says that
If instance nearest at this point of an object enemy is not equal to no one, so there is an instance of this, then do something. Okay, that makes sense. What is happening outside my... I guess there's some kind of yard work. It's really loud.
your code is right, and we need to return something, so we've decided this keyword no one is what you'll get back. And the value is -4, so if you're ever debugging, you can look at that and say, okay, I'm just running into no one at the moment. It's not necessarily wrong, unless, of course, you think you should be, then, you have to work that out. But that is the last keyword that I'm going to show you. And again, remember that every language is going to have specific keywords, and these 4 are just some of them. Really, you could say anything that pops up as a constant or as a variable is a keyword inside of GameMaker. They have those 4 specifically because they are extremely useful, except for self. Remember, don't use that. But those are the keywords to look out for and to remember when you need to use them. So that's all I've got for you guys. Nice and simple. Hopefully that was helpful. As always, have fun making great games, though, and I'll talk to you later. Hey there. I've got a Patreon, if you didn't know.
We're Carvana, the company who invented
Greetings and welcome back to
Whoa.
the last part of learning GameMaker language from scratch. Throughout this whole series, I've been teaching you the basics of GameMaker language, and not just GameMaker, but also programming in general. If you followed through from the beginning to now, then you are pretty much all set to begin working. The last big thing that I would leave you with is don't overlook the help manual and the technical resources that are out there for you. Knowing how to read a help manual and to know how to look at functions and what they do is the next big thing for you. You know the basics, you know how to use them, you know how to program now, and now you just have to start doing that. And whenever you run into a problem or a question, take it to the internet, read the help manual, look at how it's supposed to function, and then see if it is really working that way in your game, and if not, what you need to do to alter that so it does work the way that you want it to. You are a full programmer now. You may not be able to go out and create an entire game in a day, but you have the basics, you understand programming, and you can jump into any language as long as you are willing to read and just learn the language-specific keywords and coding and grammar. You can begin programming any language you want, which is awesome. So I'm super excited that you followed me along, and I hope that you will go places with this. If there's anything that I didn't cover that you'd like to see specific, then feel free to leave a comment, hit me up on Twitter, let me know. We talked about a lot of things in here, but there's always more to discover. There's always examples that are very useful to see played out. So if there's anything that I left out that you want to see, just let me know, and I will work on making that. If you'd like to specifically influence the content I create, consider supporting me on Patreon. I have polls on there that this was one of the series that I put out there. I said, what do you want me to make next? And my patrons voted for learning GML. And so this series came out of that. So if you want to influence what I do, then hop on over there. There's a link in the description and at the end of this video.
Alright. I guess that was pretty cool. Ironically, the most interesting part for us, I think, was when it did not work, and I had to figure out how to get this script to run in spite of how it is written in his tutorial. Because this forced me to actually kind of think logically about it instead of just doing what he said. So it's unintentional by the tutorial guy, but it still worked really well. I'm interested to see more of his stuff, though. Again, if you want to find this guy's stuff, hold on, I have a million instances of the manual open now. It's called Let's Learn This Together. And let's see if there's any other things on here to do. Okay. Learn to program by making games. Okay. Beginner. What's the... Okay, it's gonna use the drag and drop thing. What about this?
Birthdays are a time.
These are kind of like a scattered thing. I would like to see one that takes you through a basic game. I think there is one on the GameMaker website. Tutorials. Yeah, so we can do this one. I followed this one before when I first tried to open this, and I did it in the visual one. So let's see if I can do it in the code one. New game. Okay. Okay. We want to use the template of this. Make an object. Object bullet. Object game. Oh, it's doing that thing. We need to do this. Okay, that did something. That worked. Let's change this to board, I think it is. One of the very few things that I know about. Okay. I would imagine this one's minus equals 4. Let's see what happens before we look at the answer. That works. Ooh, wrap. Let's not do that. Let's do keyboard. Nope. Okay. I think this would get a thing here. That would create a bullet, but it wouldn't shoot it outwards, right? Yeah. And it's also like, whoa, making like unlimited bullets. Kind of cool. Okay. So the difference is that it's checking if we have just pressed the keyboard, but if we did this, it would not make a billion bullets because it would have to be, yeah, like the keyboard check would have to be finished pressing, I guess. I guess that makes sense. I wonder if you could make an interesting gameplay mechanic out of it. That's kind of would be like the Tron light cycle mechanic, I guess, if you did the one where it draws the line. Object player image angle. No. Image angle does not seem to work. What if we did some other kind of angle? Direction equals dot angle. There is no other angle. What if it was direction of object player? No. Variable. Oh, it's actually my fault. Let's try image angle again. Yay. Okay, so that worked. Okay, if we wanted to destroy the rock upon getting hit by the bullet, it would say collision with bullet. Or no, collision, this is the bullet. Collision with rock. And it would say other. instance destroy. Maybe with other. Okay, that worked. We want to create so yes to that, but also I don't think you need this if it's only one line. After destroying it, it would be create instance depth, instance create depth, and this is asking for okay, hold on, I think I got it figured out. Instance create depth x y oh, we don't need depth, we need layer x y layer ID or name. Oh, maybe it's sprite create. I don't know how to create a what if we just made another object of the small rock? Collision with a rock. Also, you want to destroy the actual bullet, I guess. Okay, so this is this, and then object is rock small variable struct. I don't think you need that one. Can I say times 2? Hold on, before we do that, let's just see if this works. Okay, that did work. And then nothing happens if you hit that one, though. This is probably not the most efficient way to do this. What happens if it says times 2? That doesn't make any sense to it. Okay, let's see what this says then. How to destroy an instance. Okay. In the bullets thing, other outside room. Oops. Okay. Let's see if we can figure something out. Let's say direction random range 0, 360. This could be any direction. And then speed equals 1. What is this? What happens if we do that? Yeah, it worked. But we can't shoot anymore because that is the same thing. What if we said the room wrap thing in game instead of move wrap? We did that in game and we put O game inside of the thing instead of putting that in the player. Oh wait, move wrap equals true and 0. Does not function. I guess we'll just put this first. Put that for the rocks. That did not work. Okay, why would that not work? Maybe it has to be in the step event. Okay, that is working. Margin. Let's say negative. I don't know what the sizes are, but let's just say negative 50. Okay, it has to go in the other direction. It was pretty close. Let's say like 70. Just watch one of these. Yeah, that works. Okay. And the bullet should also have a move wrap, right? That did not work. Ah, because that's not in the step event. But then it's going to go forever. Also, it didn't work anyway. Why is that? Oh, that one worked. Huh. I wonder why. I don't think that should be the case, though. We're going to get rid of that. Ah, because the outside room has an instance. Okay, so we already have that accounted for. What were we trying to do now? Oh, okay, yeah. We already have that figured out, but let's see what they told us to do. Double click on object of the rock. Speed 1. Direction equals random 360. Okay, it's probably interesting. That's the same is what it accomplishes the same thing, but it's a better way to do it. Image angle. Ah. So we didn't have our rocks rotating. Which they will now be doing. Nope, they're not doing it. Oh, but they start at a random image angle. Let's see. Fixed rotation. Let's try the same thing. It says physics, which I don't think is related to what we're trying to do. No. That would have to be in the step event, I think. Equals random 360. What if we said plus? Hey, it worked. Okay. Uh-oh, it doesn't like that. Plus plus. Now, why wouldn't that work? Assignment operator. Image angle equals 0.1. What does that do? Doesn't do anything. Image angle equals. Does that work? Yes. Okay, so I guess you can't just have a line that just says this. I still don't fully fathom how the equal sign works, but it's like the 1 means that it's setting it to something, and the 2 means that it actually equals something. If there's 2 equal signs. Okay, so I like that. What else we got? Rock wrapping. The step move wrap. They set it to 100, but okay. Oh, so what they came up with was this, which is better than mine. Plus equals 1. Or I guess it would be plus equals 0.3 for what we have. Now, does that work? Yes. What's the difference? I think that's what plus equals means, is that image angle equals the same thing again plus 0.3. Interesting. Okay. We're working on object rock with the collision. So I was doing it as object bullet. So if you're saying, if this is the rock and we want to do something with the, I get it. Because when we had it on bullet, we had to do with other and then put everything in brackets, but there's fewer things that have to be done to the bullet than the rock. So we're going to actually destroy. Oh, wait, that's not right. Instance destroy the rock. And I don't know how to spawn another rock, but if we would also want to plan animation. What's the thing for that? It's like effect, audio effect, create above, kind. I don't know what the kinds of effects are. Let's see. Cloud, ellipse, explosion. Good one. Ring, smoke, snow, spark or star. Firework. EF underscore firework. At the XY position of the thing. size, I don't understand how that works. So 50 and color is white. Let's see what happens if we do that. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Let's also make another effect, I guess, of something else, like the ellipse or the flare, or no, the ring. I don't know, we could do all of them, I guess. I want to see if they can stack on top of each other. Yep. Let's make the ring a little smaller, I guess, than the firework. It seems to make it bigger than the firework. Or did I change this? No, I changed the size of the... That doesn't seem to actually do anything when you change the size. That's all right. The other thing you'd want to do is spawn... You're deleting the big rock, but spawning the little rocks. I don't know how I would do that, though. Let's see what they say about that. Direction equals I don't think that's going to make any difference. I think that's just, we can leave it. They want to make it a random direction, but I think it should not be that. Ah, the size is, it has to be a, see, I didn't read that part. The size has to be, oh wait, that says 1. A real number. This says size medium. What happens if I say 2? Wow, it's big. Is it multiplying it by 2? So what if I said like 0.5 and 1? Okay. That definitely affected the size. I like the big explosion better. 1.5 and 0.8. Now, I don't think we actually want to destroy the rock based on what this is showing. Okay, this is interesting. We're doing something with sprite index. Let's try and figure it out. If sprite index equals this, then sprite index equals small. I would like to make 2 of them though. I don't know if I know enough to do that though. But let's say, what do they have for sprites? Sprite add. Frame, no. Assign. Create. Duplicate. Oh, that could work. Okay. Cursors, right? Draw sprite. That's a draw though, you have to do that somewhere else. I don't think it'll work because then we would have to create 2 instances of one object. Well, who cares? Let's do it. Instead of changing the if we made this small one into small, we're going to make the parent into the big rock. And because the step would be the same, this is the same. This would also be the same because we would write it to do either thing. Okay, let's see if this works then. I'm basically using the tutorial to like suggest what step to do next, but I'm trying to figure it out on my own what to actually do. So what was that one that I just came up with? Oh, wait, we're not creating a sprite anymore. We're creating an object, so, or an instance. Instance create layer. Oh, wait. X plus, let's say random range between between 5 and 20, comma, y plus same thing. Oh, actually it should be like the opposite. Hold on. Oh no, yeah, this is right, this is right. Oh, random range. Oh, it doesn't matter. 5, -5, and -20. And then let's do, oops. So first of all, let's just see if this works. It does not. Why not? Oh, I didn't finish doing this. Layer ID or name. Object is O rock small. That doesn't matter, I don't think. Okay, so it did create that and it did not delete this. Well, that's kind of cool. It's like spawning rocks. And it's creating them all in different sort of kind of spots, but we have to make it a bigger range. So let's say like 20 and 60. Yeah, good. Now I want it to turn into basically into 2 small rocks instead of 1. So we're gonna say x minus and y minus, and that should do the same thing, but create 2. Yep. It seems to always spawn them the equal distance from each other, And they also go in different directions. Or is that right? It also does not destroy the small rock when you shoot it. Aha. That is because the collision event is for the same where's the collision event? With the rock, with O bullet, instance destroy other, but we want it to instance destroy itself. And that will then make it happen for the both kinds of rock, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that worked. All right, look at me. Figuring stuff out. Okay. Let's do the same if thing. This is more fun trying to actually figure it out. If sprite index equals... Well, sprite index isn't really correct anymore. If instance ID, no. If object exists or something like that, instance exists. If instance exists of, oh no, not instance exists. If instance ID get, no. Instance. I guess you could do it if you said instance position and you chose the XY of the bullet, because then it would have to, or instance nearest, and then it would be of the bullet. But I don't think that's what we really want. What about object? What do you got for object? It could be object index equals O rock. Then, and let's try to do something that will be visibly noticeable. So what if we said this? And then if it is O small, then do the same thing, but with like a different color. Before we change like the size. Yeah, okay, that worked. So that's a thing we could use for that. I don't think this is the most efficient way to do this, but I don't think we're really thinking about efficiency right now. Like, you could probably just say this. Yeah. Okay. So we're not going to make this white. What if we... It'll leave it white. Or we are going to make it white, but we're not going to make it the same size. So let's make it 0.4 and 0.8. Yeah, that's kind of cool because it's changing the size of the explosion based on the size of the thing. So all right, these are supposed to be indented. Sprite index equals rock big. Oh, wait, okay. Now we're figuring out how to do this better. So because this we are going to put in here. Create the effect, create the new thingies. Otherwise, instance destroy the... No, it'll destroy it either way. Right? This should be everything. Oh, it should also create a new... Yeah. If it's this, it should actually instance create layer of a new rock. Get, is it room size? Room, isn't there like a get? Room get? No, not for what I'm looking for. It's probably just room underscore height and width. Instance create layer, room height. Damn, I don't know how to actualize what I'm trying to think about. I wanted to create a new rock that is outside the room and will come into the room. In order to do that, it would have to be facing in based on, and that would have to depend on where it spawns. Damn, I just don't have the know-how to do that. Okay, so well, we got to come up with something. So let's say instance create layer at oPlayer.x minus random range of between, it's going to spawn somewhere near the player at a random range between like 100 and 300. No, and 600. And same with the other thing. No. It should be, wait. Minus random range of negative 300 and 300, because then it'll go either up or down and left or right. And then instances O rock is going to create that layer. And when it creates an O rock, then it will do all the stuff we've already set for O rock. So let's see what happens. Yeah, well, it spawns a little too close to us, but this certainly does what I wanted. And it also adds an interesting gameplay mechanic of like not understanding where the things are even going to spawn. But we have to make them way farther away. So like 700 and 700. Oops. See, that's spawning right on the player. Why is that? Oh, I didn't set anything for like other direction. I need to change O player and I think it's just as simple as doing another one of these. Oops. If the word S, then negative 0.1. That's like a decelerate. Yeah, that's it. This seems to kind of work, but I don't get why sometimes they actually spawn on the player. Let's take a look. oplayer.x, oplayer.y. That should be a range of this many pixels away from... Ah! No, that I understand why. So how would you... Okay. The problem is it could spawn anywhere between this, but we actually only want it to spawn between 700 and 300 or between 700 and 300 without doing the middle parts. So that would have to be... can you do this? Does it let you do... Does that work? Oh, that works. Okay. It's probably a little easier to parse. The problem is we need to get it to spawn between two ranges twice. oplayer.x minus random range. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but that's not why we're doing this right now. Minus parentheses random range this and this, or random range in the other direction. Let's see if that works. How would I even know whether or not it's working? That's the question. I think the 2 lines is or. It seems to always spawn. At minimum, it would be spawning, let's say, 300. Between 300 and 500. And just for the sake of sanity, let's say something like this. Like, I guess you could just set it as a var. Max range. Is that the way you use those? Equals 500. Var equals 300. And it'd be like times... Can you say negative max range? Or does that not make any sense? Oops. Let's see if this works. Because we don't want to have to keep changing that 4 times every time we want to change it. Does it spawn, what we're checking is, does it spawn in in all sides of the map. I think it does. Okay, very interesting. But the only problem is that, again, we seem to need to tweak the ranges. So let's say like 300, and this is why we created the variables, and 100, which is probably going to be too far, or too close, rather. No, it seems to not work correctly for some reason. O player... Hold on. Yeah. Wait a second. O player dot... No, this should work. What if you said -1 times max range? This is such a stupid... Okay, before we start doing this in a really complicated way, let's like do something simpler just to see what's going on. O player dot x minus 10. O player dot y minus 10. Now it's spawning them all right on top of us. So the issue seems to occur with our OR statement, I think. So now what if we said O player x random range, comma, O player y range, and that's only going to do negative numbers. Oh, whoops. But at least it works. It definitely works. The OR statement is what's screwing it up. It's causing them all to spawn in the corner for some reason. Let's try adding it back in and see what happens, just to check. It's definitely working as of now. We messed something up here. There we go. Now they're all spawning in the corner. Uh-huh. What about... It doesn't do... Okay. So we would have a playable and decent thing if we just did this. Does it always spawn on the right, or is it relative to our direction? It kind of feels like they're spawning anywhere. Oh, no, they're always spawning... Nope, that one spawned to the left. I mean, when we're moving, it doesn't really even feel like a bug. Although the big problem seems to be that we can't decelerate. There's a lot of asteroids. How would I ever beat this game? Don't know the answer to that one. Let's try putting fewer in the room. This is interesting though. So it seems like that works well enough. Now the last thing we'd want to do is if the player collides with either of the rocks. Okay, no. We're going to do it the other direction because a rock collides with player, then the small rock can absorb the parented thing of the big rock. If O rock with other, or I think you just say other instance destroy. Cannot say that. And then reset. Nope. What is it? Game restart? Game restart or room restart probably. And that should happen if any rock collides. Yep. Okay. This is pretty cool. Ah! It's a pretty hard game. I would also like to change the hitbox of this player. It seems like it always spawns, more likely than not, spawns on the right. I don't know. I think that's because we couldn't figure out how to change the thing. But the problem is that they seem to spawn too close to us, but we can change that number because we made that a variable. Uh-oh. Okay. O player external range, O player Y minimum range. Let's say 600 and 300. It seems like this is causing some of them to spawn out of the room, which then permanently destroys them, or do they wrap? And the thing about this is that it's actually generating unlimited rocks because every time we destroy a big rock, it creates 2 little ones. But every time we destroy a little one, it creates 1 big one, which means it's doubling the rocks. It's actually kind of interesting for the difficulty of the game. All right, if that's the case, and we know it's the case, let's make it a feature, not a bug, and we'll just start the game easy and make it get harder. And maybe we'll make the room get bigger so that it can accommodate more rocks. And let's make the viewport. Let's just make the width, I don't know, 1920 by 1080. And that should solve everything. Yeah, so now as we continue destroying rocks, we are creating more and more rocks. Very interesting. Okay, now that pretty much does everything that I wanted to do. Let's make one more thing, which is that if you destroy okay, so I don't know how to use this layer, but let's try and figure it out. Draw GUI. I have no idea how to use this. Draw a circle. 50, 50, minus 50. R. What's R? Roundness. Radius. Let's just say it's also 50. 50. What happens if we do that? This is in the thing for O rock, which means, oh, there seems to be something up there, but okay, let's put this actually in O game. And then let's say it's like 500, because now there's like a lot of pixels. I don't think that worked. Okay, maybe the outline's too big. The interesting, why doesn't it have a color? Draw a circle color. An outline should be a Boolean. Oh, that's probably why it didn't work in the first place. True. Did not work this time, but there's something sitting there. Where is 50 and negative 50 on the rooms chart? Okay, so down is actually positive, so it should be 50 and 50. That's why it was only in the corner. There's a circle. So now instead of that, we want to draw text. String. We're not going to worry about the programming of the score yet. Actually, I'm just going to leave one color. I'm sure that'll work. Well, I'm not sure it'll work, but number of arguments expected 8 got 4. Okay, so this is probably the wrong thing to use. Draw text regular XY string, and we're going to assume that's going to show up as white. It is white. It does not have a size. Draw text transformed. Texture. Size. Is there a thing for size? Cameras. No. Oh, font. font get size ind index. We don't have a font though. Create a font. How does that work? Let's just assume it's Arial. I don't know. Game. So this is going to be market size. Well, it doesn't want to get the size. It wants to. I don't know how to draw text. Let's just leave this. I don't really care about how big it is. So that's fine. And now we can make a score thing. And obviously the gameplay loop being that if you, how would this, that needs to be a lot larger now. Where is that? Oh, bullet. We're going to make this like 1200 and 300. Yeah, so now it can spawn in a really big range. It seems to always spawn behind where we're looking, which I don't really care whether or not that happens. That's just, we'll call it a feature, not a bug. It's because of the fact that we have it as a this negative range from where we are. And I guess it is a range based on the direction of the that it's pointing. So if we were going to do this, we would have to create a global variable. I don't know how to do this really, but we're going to try and figure it out. Global dot score. Oh wait, is score a hard-coded thing? Built-in variable is score. Equals 0, I don't know. And then if you destroy a rock, let's say you, which one should you get more points for, or should they be equal? Doesn't really matter. Let's say I really don't know how to do this stuff, but let's say game dot big rock kill count plus plus. Is that a real thing? And then if I create two variables here, let's say KC, small rock KC. Okay, I think this should work. And then in the game thing, there it would be score space. I think this is a new feature where they added this. And then it is the value of rock dot. So if I put it in here, rock dot big rock KC. It doesn't seem that it works. But you could still do it if you said, well, first let's just see if it works. Let's just do the big rock KC, I guess, for now. No, it does not work. But it does, oh, that really messed up. Okay, when it hits the rock, oh, wait. I get it. We're trying to do two different things. So we never set these. We set them in here. This would be big rock KC like that. Does that work? No. So if we did this, does that work? It does not work. Score, how do you write a string? Okay, let's just look at this. Hello plus It seems as if that should work. Do you have to have another part of the string after it? Is that it? No. Wrong number of arguments in function draws text. This is the string. Got string, expected a comma. Why would you need a comma? Global dot name. Maybe it's like get. Okay, hold on. Get. There's no way I'm gonna get this. Rock KC plus small rock KC. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. No. So it's something wrong with the actual formatting of this idea. If I just said score, that would function. Yes. Random big rock KC. Does that do something or no? Undetermined string literal. What is that? It has some kind of understanding of what I'm saying. Oh, wait. No, that's because there's no quote. Now that comes back with that. Okay. The thing that I had seen was, I think Sean Spalding just posted a thing about it, which was that, let's see. Okay. If you put a $sign, now it is pulling a value that exists in the string. I don't know how to write it the other way, but now it says score 0, and if I did, whoa. Okay, we have to set it to an integer then. Why is it doing that? Freaking out. Okay, well, then we got other problems, but it seems to be trying to reset itself. Maybe the step event is not the place to do this. Okay, so small rock killed equals true. What if we did that? If you said this and then you said that it's false, it should run it once and only do it once. Obviously not the best way to do this, but whatever. Now this is not referenced anymore. Right. So if the small or big rock is killed, why does this make any difference what we're doing here? If we made a step event for the game and we said if it's stupid because they're both worth the same amount, so they should both just be affecting the same variable. It's stupid for many reasons, but whatever. If big rock hill equals true, then, well, the way we're doing this means that, okay, it's fine. Big rock KC plus plus. Is that how you do this? Small rock. The point is that we could then make them worth different amounts. And then this plus this equals that. How does that work? Nope. Big rock hill equals true. It doesn't like this. Variable not set. Oh, because that exists in a different thing. That exists in O rock. Yeah. Okay, let's try it. Okay. It didn't freak out, but it also didn't do anything. So I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Pretty sure that makes it worse. And that is because... So what's stupid is that we're... Okay, hold on. Global score should be what we're tracking. Equals small rock KC plus big rock KC. And then the draw GUI should be just saying score equals global score. Does it need to be global score or can it just be score? Did not do anything, but okay, first let's try saying score instead. Before we do anything else. Does not do anything. Okay. Maybe this needs to be moved to the first part of this. Oops. This is all, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to happen in one frame, so it won't screw around. Okay, it still doesn't do anything. Big rock killed equals true when this happens. And if big rock kill equals true, then add to the big rock kill count. Okay. First, let's see if the score is displaying the kill counts combined. It is not. So the problem is not necessarily with oh, that's because this is set to this. Oh. Okay. The problem is not with this, unless we, let's see what this does if we type that. Okay, score says 34. So the math equation works, but the idea of adding to the score does not. Okay, also does not work. If the rock collides with the bullet, it's going to destroy the bullet. What if I put this at the end? It should do it, right? I don't know what else. What if we take away this false one? So it's now just saying this is true. And then we put false at the end of the whole thing. Could be that. No. Okay, what if we took out these? We might be doing too many things. What if we just set the score when we... Okay, that also doesn't work. So what if we just say this? We're basically bypassing that equation. Okay, the score is going up and then going down. Again, it's arriving at 0. So there's something happening that causes the score to increase and then reset. It is probably because the rock is being destroyed and therefore the score doesn't have a chance to go up or to stay up, I guess. I don't really understand, but okay. That's why we used a variable, but maybe that doesn't change it either. Okay. Big rock KC plus equals 1. And then the game is asking for this plus this, so this should work. But that's probably going to do the same reset thing as the other thing. Uh-oh. So get rid of this. There's an issue of variable of Big Rock KC is not set. That is because we called it Big Rock KC and not OGame dot. Oh, welcome Plot King to the show. Yeah, we're basically making asteroids, yeah, I guess. I'm trying to do this tutorial. Here we go. Okay, so now the thing is tracking a score. What is different about what we just did? I don't know. But if I put that into here, if object index equals O rock, does it still do it? It does. Couldn't tell you then why it didn't work before. I think it was that code that I tried to write of like if it equals this or that. So, okay, good. Okay. So I think I wrote one too many lines anyway because we could just do this. If we kill a small rock, wait, else dot small rock KC plus or equals 2. So you get 2 points for killing the little rocks and 1 for killing the big rocks. I don't know if that really works gameplay wise, but because when you kill a little rock, it is then going to make the game harder. So I would assume that you'd want to get more points for that. Okay. Okay, so we've been killed. So this now works in the sense that it resets the game if we hit a rock. It shoots the rocks and destroys them, creating an effect. It spawns either small rocks or big rocks upon the rocks dying. We couldn't figure out how to get the rocks to spawn in a total 360 from where we are. I think they mostly spawn on the right side of the board. I mean, just looking at the screen, you can tell they spawn on the right side of the board. But I think we pretty much did everything we wanted to do. And we got the score to go up. And it's an interesting gameplay loop, actually, because the more small rocks you kill, it will create one extra big rock on the board. So the game is increasingly getting more difficult. The big problem really is that the rocks don't kind of cause a problem for you as the player, probably because of the cooldown of the gun. That you can shoot so fast that it's not really a problem. So, okay. How would we do that? Step event? What are we in? The rock? We want to be in the player. If we press enter, first we want to create a cooldown equals 0. Or no, equals, let's say that's like 10 frames. And then how would we cause it to wait 10 frames before the next time you can shoot? If keyboard press VK enter, first you have to check or instance exists, I guess, of the O bullet. Or if the instance does not exist of O bullet, or do you put that here? I think either way. If the instance does not exist of O bullet, then create a bullet and set the timer minus equals 1. Is that all you need? Else wait, if instance does not exist of that, I think you don't need the else. That has certainly slowed down the thing. Oh, but what it's checking for now is actually not whether or not the bullet has been shot 10 frames ago, but rather does it's right now it's actually doing missile command rules, which is that the bullet has to leave the frame before a new bullet can be created. And that is because we shouldn't be checking for if instance exists. We should be checking, although that's also an interesting gameplay mechanic in missile command, but it would obviously make it easier to shoot things because it's not a square frame. It would be easier to shoot things above or below you than side to side. So we're not going to do that. If cooldown is greater than 0 or wait a second. Cooldown equals 10. Then create the bullet. And then every frame, it is going to subtract the cooldown by 1. And then at the end, it will set the cooldown to 10. Is that correct? Now it's just shooting as fast as I can press the button. So that does not work. Cooldown is currently set to 10. If cooldown is less than, or no, greater than or equal to 10, that does not work. Okay. If you press enter and the cooldown is, maybe we should be doing this backwards just to make it simpler. Cooldown is 0. I don't know how it would ever be less than 0. Then create a bullet. And once you have done that, you would add 1 to the cooldown. Otherwise, if the cooldown is greater than 0, you just don't do anything. How do we set that? Oh wait, this should be self-sufficient though, no? If the cooldown is less than or equal to 0, then you could shoot a bullet and it immediately adds 1 to the cooldown. We're missing one step here. If can shoot equals true, then you do this. And you add 1 to the cooldown here. Now, can shoot will start at true, I guess. First, you're going to say can shoot equals false. And then the cooldown goes up by 1 until it gets to what? If it goes up by 1, then it should be start at 10. I really don't know how to do this. If can shoot equal, if cooldown equals 10, can shoot, wait, was true. Else can shoot equals false. Is that correct? Okay, now let's try it. Does not work. So why not? I'm making this so complicated. Cooldown equals 0. Can shoot equals true. If can shoot is true, which it is when it starts, it's going to make 1 bullet. It's going to set can shoot to false, and it's going to add 1 to the cooldown. And then it will if cooldown is greater than or equal to 10, so the problem here is that nothing's controlling the cooldown timer on this except for this. And that is a problem because I don't know. No, this, see, now this is shooting as fast as you can shoot. Cooldown greater than or equal to 10, can't shoot is true. Else, can't shoot is false. Okay, okay. Cooldown equals 0. That's what you need. Right? No. What about if can shoot equals? You actually don't need this part, because if the cooldown is 0, that is going to be true anyway. Nope. So once this sets itself to... Okay, wait. If can shoot is true, I don't think this is supposed to be inside of this. Nope. Okay. What about if we put it outside of this? Now it doesn't do anything. Oh, if you pressed enter, yeah, of course it has to be. So if you pressed enter, it's setting the cooldown to 0. Shouldn't do that. Pressing enter adds 1 to the cooldown, but it never changes. Okay, there has to be something that then resets it, which should be... Can't choose true, do this. And set... I don't know, I don't have any other ideas. Why wouldn't this work? if the cooldown is greater than 10 or equal to 10, then can shoot is true. Otherwise, can shoot is false. Every frame, cooldown goes up by 1, and it's been set to 0. So after 10 frames, it should then be set to true. But, so it's going like this, I guess, like if cooldown is greater than or equal to 10. So it's saying false, false. Oh, okay. I got it. Wait, so because it's not going to run this because can shoot is not true until on the next frame when it checks. But this should work. I feel like I already tried this. If you pressed enter, it's setting the cooldown again to 0. Now I get why this is not functioning properly. So there's like some step missing here, which is that if you pressed enter, then the set to 0. I can't figure it out. What's that thing? It's like called like a clamp? Value min max. Okay, what if we set the why is this not? This is the value, this is the min, this is the max. Oh. Wait. I don't know how to do this. So let's just not put a cooldown on the shooting mechanic for now, because I don't know how to do this. Keyboard check, press, enter, create this. This is this, and this is not needed. Yeah, that part of the game will be some other time, I guess. Okay, well, we got something working, and that's nice. The last step, I think, is that I wanted to make the collision mask for this smaller. Like this, I guess. More like a shoot 'em up. I guess it would be like this. Oh man. Okay. So that seems like it's still hitting whenever it. A shoot 'em up though, the collision mask is actually really small, where it's like 1 pixel in the middle of the thing. So maybe let's try that. Because it seems like I'm dying at certain parts where it's not really feeling gameplay-wise like I'm touching the thing. It's just like grazing it. I can't like line myself up with this asteroid. Okay, let's try and do this one. See that? Seems like the hitbox has not changed. Do I have to save it or something? Oh wait, you know what? I think it's... No, yeah, same as sprite should be right. Let's make the sprite or the collision mask even smaller though, like this. So this seems like it can touch. Nope. Oh, you know why? I know why. Because we didn't change the mask for the rocks. Oops. Now it should be a little bit more of like a forgiving thing. More like a shoot 'em up game. Yeah, so we can actually intersect with the rock and not be instantly killed the second that we like go near it. Because the collision mask was a square around the rock, but the rock itself is not a square, so then even if we touch the negative space around the rock, we would die, which is not fun. I think we could make like a shaped collision mask too that's not like a square. Which if we were doing a game like this, it would probably be best to try and do something like that. Yeah. I think I want to do one more thing, which is change the speed of the rocks to be 2, and the player speed is nothing. What is the player speed? Oh, player speed is 0.1 every frame that we hold the key. This is no longer relevant. Now let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Ah. Okay, this worked. It would also be interesting if the game got continuously faster as you shoot more rocks or as your score gets to a threshold or something. So we could try to do that. I think that would be pretty easy too. Let's make like a notes thing. Uh, and a screen that shows your score and pauses the game when you die. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for this one. We've been going for 3 hours now. Didn't expect to do that for this small little tutorial watching thing, but then again, didn't really have necessarily an objective of what to do. So I think this was pretty successful. I followed the GameMaker tutorial thing for this Asteroids game, and then we actually got to really tinker around with stuff, so that's good. Again, you know, I don't really have an ultimate goal with what we're doing here. I just want to sort of like look into how coding works in general. And if you want to see more of the person whose YouTube we were watching earlier, it's called Let's Learn This Together. You can find it, you know, on YouTube. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.